understanding. And thank you for our Facebook viewers. We apologize for our late connect on Facebook. I'm working through a couple little technical things right here, but listen, we're good. Lady Shade's going to get us on and we're going to rock out. Okay. So for our Facebook and social media viewers, please like and share once you see the broadcast come up. And we certainly thank you for being a part of the broadcast this evening. Okay. And so again, for my viewers who are just joining us, we have the McCurrys with us. Elder Michael McCurry, Dr. Tammy McCurry, of Beta Alpha Gamma Christian Fraternity, and Tyrone Mu Christian Sorority, and the New Life family. Yes. And they're doing a little bit of everything. So we're super excited about what God is doing through them. So tonight we're going to discuss, elders, his need, her needs. And I think this is a great discussion because I think part of what we often fail to look at, even in the dating process, is how do we become an answer to the needs of the person that we're going to engage in this covenant with. Right. And I think sometimes in the dating process, we fail to examine and consider what the other person really needs.
Right.
We come looking for more solutions than being answers.
Right. And as a man, that's one of the biggest things that we always try to do is try to fix things. We don't take the time to listen. And so that's one of the things that when we come into that relationship, we're always looking to see how we can better the person that we're with.
Wow.
And one of the things, we heard this at a leadership conference somewhere, Reverend Floyd.
Yes.
Blake, I think is his name. But he said something that was so profound. He said that God creates us to be need meters. And
well, back up. Need meters. Wow.
And so if we look at no matter what we're doing in life, if our goal is to meet the needs of somebody else, like for instance, when we go to our job to meet a need. And at our homes, we're meeting the needs. So as a wife, I'm meeting specific needs of my husband, but I'm also meeting needs in my family. So I'm meeting the need to be a nurturer. I'm meeting the need to teach my daughters how to be the women God created them to be. So there's always an opportunity to meet a need. Wow. And so if we look at it, instead of looking at it from the perspective of somebody meeting our needs, if we're meeting somebody else's needs, then even if our spouse may not, if there's a shortage somewhere, then God will be meeting that need until our spouse understands what they're supposed to do. And so even when we're dating, when you understand, and this is why it's so important to understand what those needs are for each other. So then you get to choose. Like if you can't meet the need, you might want to go ahead and not try to engage in the relationship because there is a expectation that you will be able to meet the need. That's what ministry is about. Every Pastor Keith, look at you in ministry.
Yeah.
Your goal is to meet a need.
To meet a need.
So whether it's a need for somebody who needs ministry, or they need counseling, or they need food, or they need clothes, there's a need, and God has ordained you and he's anointed you to meet
the need. I guess the amazing part of when you say that, when you said God created us to meet a need, it took me back to Genesis.
Yes.
And the need was
to dress the garden.
To
tend to the garden, to subdue the land, and to be dominion over what God has created, to be a caregiver of what God had placed in charge of you. That's one thing about a man. The true definition of a man, he does not become a man until he has something he's responsible for.
Whoa, back up, elder. Rewind. Say that again now.
So the true definition of a man, he does not become a man until he has something that he's responsible for.
So if he's only got himself, he really hasn't met the full magnitude of what his manhood is supposed to look like because he ain't responsible for nothing.
He's not meeting someone else's need.
Wow. Now that really amazes me because that almost redefines for me what manhood really is. I mean, I know a lot of us, and sometimes, especially in our African American community, we build it on sexual prowess. We build it on how much money we have, the material things. I mean, the whole rap game builds it on what we look like and the image we portray. But the question is, are we responsible for anything?
That's right.
and accountable.
Accountable.
Oh,
See, she getting into beta apple-gamma.
Because a beta man is
It's a
truly
better
a
man.
better man.
Better man, you better hear me. So when we talk about that original creation, if we go back to that point of origin, it's always been God's intent for us to be the answer to each other's needs.
That's correct.
And then, if I were to remind you, two preachers in the
All
room,
right.
Oh Lord.
that after God created all those things, he looked at the man and said, it is not good for man to be alone. Because at that point, the need of the man could not be met
By himself.
by the things that were.
Now, see, I'm gonna be honest with you. Before Elder put the responsibility on it, that's what I was looking at.
Uh-huh.
Is she was given to answer a problem for man,
Uh-huh.
but there was even a greater responsibility that predated that, either by moments or by days. But it predated it that man should have responsibility first. So we're gonna talk about his needs and her needs, but I want to drill down on this for a minute. In the dating process, what do you do with an irresponsible joker that wants your daughter or wants a woman? He's irresponsible. But what do you do with that?
So,
You start. You tell me.
well, okay, I'll say this first. I think that's why it's so important in how we raise our children. Because there's the promise. And I tell people this all the time. This is what I fall back on every day of my life. The promise is that if you raise a child in the way that they should go, that when they're old, they won't depart.
Yeah.
So if you model in the home what it should look like, all six of our daughters have gone through the dating process, right?
How many daughters you got?
Six.
Six
We got
Six
daughters. Uh-huh.
No boy?
No boys.
I already knew
Got
that, but I wanted the audience to know that.
No
I
boys.
know you ain't got no boys.
And they're all 2 years apart. No twins.
But I will say this, I will add this caveat, is that God did not, for whatever his reason was, he did not allow us to birth sons. However, we have the most amazing son-in-laws that I consider sons, and I would not trade them for anything in the world. They are amazing young men. They love our daughters, and we're so grateful to have them in our life. So God has a way of meeting the need of a desire of your heart in a way that's different than you had intended. So I always intended that I would give birth to a son. But God gave me a promise that I didn't have to have pain for in my son.
Oh, Jesus, Lord have mercy. I'm about to shout on the radio station right now.
So grateful.
You said a promise that I didn't have to have pain for. That is such an amazing perspective, because it meets the need of your desire.
That's right.
But it wasn't through your labor.
It wasn't through my labor. Now, there were tears that I cried that were bottled up that are a result of what we have now in our family. So those tears, because of his promise that he no tear is not noticed from him. And so although there were nights I cried and there were times I prayed, but God has a way of answering, and that's one of the things people have to understand. His answer may not be yes in the way you want it to be yes, but it doesn't mean that he said no.
Oh, wow.
And, and when I think about her answers being prayed, I used to always, when the one daughter was born, and it was like, oh, we're excited. And the second daughter was born. We were all excited. Then we had an ultrasound. It's, this is going to be a boy. It's going to be a boy. And when she came out, it was a girl. And so, it was kind of a shock because for all indication, it was supposed to be a boy.
You was buying blue.
Yeah, we did. And so, and by the time we had the sixth child, and I could see it in her eyes. And, I came with that, I said, am I not enough, type of thing. But what I realized is, as she said, God brought us sons that she didn't birth.
Wow.
And, going to answer with your question about those irresponsible. Sometimes when we set the precedents, and I believe this as a man, that you cannot get an image of how a man should be until you see a man.
Ooh.
And so my daughters saw, they saw an early me, what I call a preborn me, and an afterborn me. Now, the preborn me was the irresponsible man. But the afterborn me, or the newborn me, they got to saw the model of what a man looks like. And I modeled that, and I purposely modeled it so that they had the opportunity to see what it looks like. This is what a man should look like. This is how he should respond. This is what he's responsible for. So when some of them came and they were, and I wouldn't say they were so irresponsible, I think they were just immature.
Yeah.
They hadn't had the opportunity to actually grow in or be modeled, or one of the things
They
that
were
I love.
without instruction.
They were without instruction, without mentorship. And so because of that,
Wow.
they really needed, and I'm not saying because I didn't know all their father's situations. Some of them had good fathers, some of them didn't have fathers in the home at all. But what my daughter's needs were based upon what their mom had taught them.
Mm.
So they were looking for men that could meet the needs based upon the criteria that they had saw in their own life.
Wow.
And so there were some guys that came and they came and they went.
And they went because they weren't going to be the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I'm so excited. We're talking to the McCurrys once again of TRM Ministries, and we're talking his needs and her needs, and we're so excited. We're sorry we're unable to take inbound calls tonight, but you can certainly join us on our Facebook page. Go out and like the Hearts and Hills page, and you can make your comments there. For all of our viewers who are joining us from the sorority and the fraternity, we're sharing. Get out there and make your comments there. And if you'll share your comments there, we'll certainly be glad to try to address your question as you share. So listen, you said something that was really amazing. I'm going to Elder McCurry now for a minute when you said that you showed them what the model looked like.
Mm-hmm.
And if a young man, or say the other person, let's say a young man or young woman, comes without the understanding, then that communication piece, I think, becomes so important, because now I've got to, as a woman, communicate my needs to my new husband.
Exactly, exactly. That is so important. One thing, my wife, and she can talk about this, but she used to always say beforehand, I should be able to read her mind. I should be able to, and then after a while she realized,
you can't read her mind.
And if you are, you're very bad at it. So, so then she's very articulate. So she was able to really explain exactly to detail how she wanted, what she needed.
Yeah.
And then it was my responsibility to say, okay, I'm going to meet that need. Mm-hmm. Now, sometimes I wasn't able to meet the needs exactly like she wanted it, because I just wasn't able to do it that way. Mm-hmm. There's some ways, like, if I'm right-handed, I can't pitch left-handed,
mm-hmm.
But I was able to address her needs in the way that I knew how, in the way she wanted it.
Yes.
And that was where the compromise came in. Yes. But she was able still to articulate, okay, I like this, but I want you to kind of do this.
Tweak it just a little bit, and we're going to be good.
Right.
So let's talk about that. Let's begin to zero in on what men and women need. Let's begin to talk, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna bounce the ball a little bit. So we're gonna give each of you an opportunity to express a need, and let's share and see if we can help some young people out there develop, and watch this, some older people out there recover. Because I believe even, and I said this on one of our previous broadcasts, that the person you were when you were dating, and you get to the altar, you think you know them then, but then 10 years later, they're different.
They are.
And actually, after the honeymoon, they're different.
So this is an evolving process of meeting the needs, because we change from decade to decade in our marriage, sometimes year to year, sometimes sickness comes, sometimes so many other things happen that shift the focus of the needs. So let's talk about that. Let's each take a need and share. Whoever wants to go first, let's rock.
Okay, well, I'll go first. It's important that as men, we're really slowing behind the curve on this. Even in developmental, girls develop a little bit faster than boys.
This is true.
And so in that, for men, for us to understand, one thing my wife used to always say to me, when my daughters were growing up, I would always try to tell them something like they were little boys. And I remember that I would be just real harsh on them. I'll never forget this. One day, I said something to my daughters, and it wasn't, it was just like, you did that the wrong way. You need to, do this. And she pulled me and said, come here, baby, let me talk to you. And she says, hey, they're girls, right? And I said, well, yeah, I know they're girls. She says, no, you're addressing them not like girls. You're addressing them like boys. And it changed. It says they'll respond differently if you address them where they are.
Time out. You're saying that the way you even address them can affect how they receive the message based on their gender?
That's right. That's right. Exactly.
Wow.
Because my thing was, he was trying to instill in them a responsibility, an accountability piece.
Mm-hmm.
but he wasn't doing it from a place of a loving, nurturing type place. Tenderness. And so what I said to him was, I don't want them to grow up and look at you as the authoritarian that only gives orders. I need them to love you and know that you love them, because I may not be here always.
Wow.
And so I need them to know love from you, so they don't look for it from somebody else before time.
Wow.
So this leads into the first need, and that's why I brought that up. The first need that women need is affection. It's affection. It basically to tell her that you love her. Not only just tell her, but show her in your deeds, the things that you do. Cards are nice, those gifts are nice, but it's the affection that you would show to her. And it's not just the physical affection, that's part of it, but it's talking about the time that you spend to see what really, for lack of a better word, makes her happy, turns her on, excites her.
Yeah.
Those things that you have to take the time and step back. You can't just run and say, "Oh, I bought you some flowers. Here you go." What if she's allergic to flowers?
Wow.
What if she, find out what it is. With my wife loves books. She loves to read.
Wait a minute. She loves books.
She loves books.
You mean you buy her books?
I actually do.
Oh, that's exciting. She's smiling, so that's all that matters. So she needs to be intellectually stimulated.
Exactly.
Wow.
And it's not. And here's the thing. I don't go out and say, "Yeah, I found this book." She'll say something. "Man, I saw this on Facebook, or I saw this online. This book, I really like this." And I look, okay. And I'm running to the bookstore. I'm going to Amazon. I'm ordering it.
Yeah.
And I'll order it and get it to her. And then she's, "Oh man, I want to do these for the girls."
So you take her clues and solve the mystery.
I
got you. That's good.
And I just want to add this, because this is one of, I think, my most favorite things that I admired about my husband. As our daughters were growing up, at the age of 13, he took them on their first date. All 6 of them. So after he did it for the first one and the second one, everybody else looked forward to turning 13 because they got to go on a date.
Because I got dressed up, I put on a suit. I took them to whatever restaurant they wanted to. So at that time, it was local restaurants, and none of them. I think only one of them went to a high-end restaurant, but the rest of them were good. Little family restaurants. Then after the family restaurant, and while we were there, we had conversation. I asked them about their day. I asked them about what do you want to do when you go to high school? What do you want to be when you go to college? What do you dream about? What are your goals? What do you don't like? What was a hard day? And I'd sit there and they would just talk, because at first, whenever you get girls to talk to you about themselves, now they would talk to their mom about stuff, but they were telling me about stuff, and I was like, I really wasn't prepared for what they were telling me.
So your affection got you in trouble.
And then I would take them out I would take them to the movie of their choice, and I remember, and they annotated, so they all have in their little diaries their very first movie that they loved. So I took them to all their favorite movies, and after that, we went for a ride, just drove them around, just talked to them, and I told them about how much I love them, and how I would be there and I would protect them, and make sure that if a man comes in your life, if they don't show you love and respect, don't deal with them. And also I always tell them, and I even told their husbands I said, you can say whatever you want to my daughters, you can talk harsh to them, you can, but don't put your hands on them.
Don't put your hands on them.
I said, before you put your hands on them, send them back home to me.
That's right. Yeah. Wow. So Dr. McCurry, throw one at us, man.
So the number one need for men.
Number one. Dun, 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 drum roll.
Sexual fulfillment.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Sexual fulfillment.
And so, most times we think of that like they just want to. No, there is a real physiological need that is met for a man. That is how God created a man. And so, the Bible talks to us about, not withholding our bodies from one another.
That's right.
And there's a reason for that, because God created us that it's when we're together. It's when we become one that we are able to defeat the things that come at us.
Wow.
And so if you are a Bible reader, you understand that there's only a time that the Bible gives us as clear to not come together, and that's during a time of fasting and prayer.
Mm-hmm.
However, the caveat to that is that there has to be an agreement between the parties.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I just can't wait, because I got frustrated with him and say, "Oh, I'm fasting." today. Yeah, because I'm mad. You know.
Yeah.
So
We'll get spiritual with that.
Uh-huh,
Thing.
we'll
The
get
Lord
spiritual.
today. Uh-huh.
Get spiritual, but I go back to my comment earlier on is that was the preparation of he that findeth a wife. Because as a wife, I understand that there's a time for fasting and prayer, but there's also a time to have that intimate time.
Yeah.
And so that is the number one need for a man. And so as wives, we have to understand that, if you have medical conditions, something going on, you have to communicate that. It's so important to communicate that to your spouse so that they don't feel rejected and they don't feel like you don't love them or they're not attracted to you. A lot of times wives don't understand how important that is.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to really pay attention to those cues.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's important to know your spouse's love language.
Wow.
Because when you know their love language, then you understand the importance of meeting that need in so many different ways. Because for some people, it's not just about the actual
I was just about to add that.
of intimacy, the physical act is about so many things that come before that. It's because there's a very thin line, no, I don't want to have an intimate time physically with someone who just cursed me out.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
So there is
because as a woman, you're connecting differently.
Right. I'm connecting differently.
Yeah.
So I need you to start. See, for women, it starts at the beginning of the day if you want to have a good night.
Oh, so you need affection to get there. He just needs arousal.
He just needs he just needs that physical,
Wow.
Men are
visual.
Yeah.
And visual does not necessarily mean an outfit from Victoria's Secret. It could be a football jersey.
And your physique. It could be your physique.
Yeah.
It could be just the way you're built.
Right. Any of that. So
Yeah.
just understanding that men need sexual fulfillment. That's a need.
So I see if I can say this visually, I see a moat.
Mm-hmm.
So let's build a bridge.
Okay.
You just mentioned something that's so important. The woman needs more of the affection. I think that's what you had, Elder McGurk. It was. I was going to call you Michael, Jesus.
That's fine. That's what McGurk.
That's the name of Mama gave me, right? Yeah. So how do we build that bridge between? You started on it, the affection and the arousal, because it takes a lot more time to establish affection than it does arousal.
It goes back to that understanding and that communication. So, if he knows what I need, then he's going to be able to. So through my love language, if my love language is acts of service.
Yeah.
So now I can give you an example. Her love language is acts of service.
Okay.
And so if I know that I need a physical connection with her, she goes to work and I work from home. I'm going to get off a little early. I'm going to clean the whole entire house, wash dishes, fold the laundry, I'm going to change the linen on the bed. I'm going to dust them off the floors, take the trash out. I'm going to look and see what kind of to-do list that she has and she was going to do when she came home. Like there might be some things that she was going to do, like, one of the things she wanted her office straight.
And you can take care of it.
I'm going to take care of all that. So when she got home, I don't tell her. She gets home, she walks in the door, she's setting her keys down. I'm still at work. So I honey, are you home? She said, yeah. And I'm logging off my work laptop. And she goes into the kitchen. And I don't hear anything. Then she goes into the laundry room. I don't hear anything. Then she goes into the bedroom. I don't hear anything. Then she comes to my room and says, who cleaned the house? Who did this house? Who did this? And it was like, well, I knew you had a long day and I thought I'd help you out. And then I see what she had.
She smiles.
She smiles.
She smiles. And it's like, oh boy, the door is open.
The door is open.
Oh, that is so cool. I read a book once and it just came back to my remembrance. My pastor, Willie Wilkes, did a Bible study with us, and it was called Sex Begins in the Kitchen. And this particular book focused on that very thing, that for a woman, sex begins before you ever get to the bedroom.
Yeah, exactly.
It's how you do all the other things leading up to that place of affection. And for a man, it's very much so different. But again, meeting his needs and her needs, if both people exercise those things that cause them to come together, it can make it so sweet moving together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, let's throw another one in there. Come on. You go first
Okay.
this time, Doc.
Recreational companionship. So, oftentimes what happens in marriage is that, he has football, he has his things he likes, and the wife just doesn't like those things. And so she just doesn't try to get interested or make an effort. But when we do make an effort, it means so much.
Wow.
Like, for instance, I absolutely, like, I love volleyball, right? And basketball. And the girls play basketball and we go to the game. And, I would be that parent. I was that parent. Like, if you see a referee in the store now, they're like, hey, you were that mom. Yeah, I was that mom.
One of my coworkers was a referee
Oh,
for
Lord.
years. And when I came to work, and he saw me, he says, man, you look familiar. He says, your children play? I said, yeah, my daughter plays basketball. I know your wife.
Your wife. Yeah, your wife.
Yeah, I was that mom. I'm that mom. Yeah, I was an absolute basketball.
So her
mom.
need is to verbalize.
Right, yeah. But I just did not like football. Did not like football at all. But he would watch football. And so I realized, I could use this as an opportunity. And the first time I sat down and watched the Iron Bowl with him, you would have thought like I gave him $1 million. Because he was like, wait, because what I did was I studied to understand the plays before the game.
Wait,
so I studied.
She did.
And so I said, so is it a first down? And he looked. And then I said, oh man, he gonna get a flag. What? How do you know that? I said, babe, this is important to you. So I learned some stuff.
When she said, oh, unnecessary roughness, I said, okay.
Okay.
I didn't even know that part.
But I knew it was important to him. So recreational companionship, I don't want it to be that, he only has to be with the guys to enjoy something he likes to do. So I'm not, like, he swims. We have a pool. He swims. I'm not a swimmer at all. Can't do it. I'm going to learn one day. It's not going to be today, though. But what I will do is I will go out there and I'll sit by the pool or I'll sit on the stairs of the pool and just watch him. But I'm with him.
That's
like
right.
I am participating in something that means something to him.
In his playtime.
In his playtime.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. That's really interesting. You studied the game before you watched it.
When I said something about special teams, you should have saw him. He didn't even want to watch the game no more.
I was sitting there going,
Really? So that notch went up in his mind just a little bit higher. That's amazing. That is so cool. But like you said, it was the time together. So let me ask this question: what's his love language? We mentioned yours was acts of service. What's his?
Physical touch.
Yeah. Okay. Amen. All right. That's cool.
And interesting enough, like, again, when you don't know your spouse's love language, it can be a problem because. So, perfect example. I would be in the kitchen washing dishes, and he'd come like hug me or touch my hand or something, and I'm like, "So you don't see me trying to get done?"
Yeah.
And that was like our norm. And he was like, "So you don't love me? You don't want me to touch you?"
And that's how
it felt like rejection.
Right.
Rejection, exactly.
But in my mind, I never got that. I'm like, I'm trying to finish. So I wasn't. It's like if you don't know your spouse's love language, it's like you're speaking two different languages, expecting a good result.
Never gonna happen.
It's never gonna, because nobody's there to translate. So once we learn that, now if you're ever around us, even if we're at church, we're gonna hold hands to pray.
Yeah.
Because it's physical. Because it's not just about physical touch in the sense of getting to sex at the end. It's about physical touch. When he gets a haircut, I'm automatically gonna rub the back of his head. Like, those are the things he needs me to do.
Yeah.
And because I know he needs me to do those things, I make an effort and a conscious decision, and I'm intentional about doing those things.
To meet that
need.
Wow.
Yeah. See, that came from because, growing up, my mom and dad were separated when I was young. So my dad raised me and my mom passed. So I never had, a woman's touch. I never had that, a hug. I never had that, because it was always my dad. So it's kind of like, son, go out there and play, go play. Let's play football. Let's go do these things. So it was never that. So with her, it was like, just the touch, just the holding hands, it was like, that was great for me.
That was major. Wow. Again, man, we're enjoying Hearts and Heels this afternoon here at WVAS 90.7 on the campus of Alabama State University. I'm so excited. And again, I want to thank our hosts, Shay Robinson and Yolanda, for allowing me to be on today. Again, we're with the McCurrys. We're talking his needs, her needs, and man, this has been such a rich discussion. So, Elder, give us another one of her needs.
One of her needs is conversation. It is very important. You know, it says that, I can't remember the exact number, something with the numbers, that a man speaks how many words? I forgot how many it is.
Like 9,000.
9,000 words in a day. That's our normal vocabulary. Where a woman speaks
20-some thousand.
like 20-something thousand. So mostly in a work day. So mostly in a work day, we will expel just about all our words.
Just doing the job.
Just doing the job.
Right.
So
That's why we don't want to talk when we come home.
Yes,
exactly.
What?
So most time when men come home, we'll come in and say, hey, how was your day? Good. You all right? Uh-huh.
Look at that. So when, hold on, let me interrupt you. So when is the marriage retreat? Look at these guys. Thank you for our daughters and sons joining us online. So when is the marriage retreat? Let's talk about these words. We're gonna have it real soon, Adrian. Come on.
and so we don't want to talk. We're exhausted, but she still has thousands of words that she wants to say. And so a lot of times women want to just converse because they're visual, and the way that they express things is through their words. They're very creative. Like I might say that door is brown. She might say that door is mahogany with a brass doorknob and has the, and I'm like, oh, I thought it was a brown door.
She sees details we don't even see.
Exactly.
Wow.
So when she wants to hold a conversation, like if I ask her how her day is, this is how it would go. Well, this morning when I got my coffee, and it was really hot, and I got it, and it wasn't the normal kind of hand because it did have a frappuccino on the top of it. And then, when I got it, and I spilled a little bit on my hand. And then by the time I got into the elevator, and, we're going up in the elevator, and this lady got in and she was telling me about her day, and she said about children.
So she's speaking 40 words to your one.
Yes. and it's full. It's full. It's almost like a full report.
Yeah.
From
fully animated.
Exactly.
Wow.
And so it's very descriptive. It's very animated, and it's her whole heart. The problem that men have is that we don't give them the opportunity, because what we want to do is that we want to be. I used to always say this, like when I'm doing something, I say, okay, Tootsie Pop, and she's like, okay. Get to the center. Get to what you need. Get to what you got to say.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
What is it? Tootsie Pop.
Tootsie
That's
Pop.
good.
Get to the center.
All right, for all our listeners out there, husbands, holla Tootsie Pop. Get to the point.
Get to the point.
That's it. That's a nice. Y'all so nice with it. I'd have been like, girl, shut up. But now that's good. Tootsie Pop.
Tootsie Pop.
That's part of fair fighting, the way.
Yeah.
I know what that is. Come on.
And so, but what we have to do, though, if we really want to meet her needs, sometimes we have to sit back and get out of ourselves and say, okay, let her expel her words.
Yes.
And all it requires us to do is not sit there and go, but sit there and listen. And the thing that we have to practice, and it's difficult for men, is don't try to give solutions or resolve issues.
Ooh.
Just listen. The conversation is basically she wants to tell you her day. Then she might wait and says, what do you think about something? Then that's your avenue to say, okay, well, honey, this is what I think about this, and then you wait, because the biggest thing that we do is that we'll either monopolize the conversations. I'm going to tell this.
I start giving answers, just giving solutions to shut it down.
Yeah. Because like sometimes what we'll do is like we'll sit and we'll be having a conversation, and like when she's ready for to say something, she'll touch me, and then that'll be my cue to stop.
Yeah.
Or she'll like that. She just needs me right there.
That's amazing.
So it works for us.
Wow, that is cool. Too funny. That is too funny. Y'all,
I'm telling you.
y'all don't quit playing in church. Quit playing in church. They're playing in church, viewers. They're playing in church. But it's so amazing. And I think that the beauty of this is we're getting to enjoy 33 years of marriage experience. And that's a blessing because I know it's a part of your ministry, but it's not just what you do, it's what you live.
It's who we are.
It's who
It's
we
who you are.
Somebody asked one day, they said, y'all always seem happy. Is that real? I said, yes, because we both refuse to be miserable for the rest of our lives.
Wait a minute, back up. So you refuse to be miserable.
I will not be I will not be in a situation where I'm miserable because I have a covenant and I made a promise. So if divorce is not an option, we got to figure out how to make this work.
For both of us.
So our motto is we love a lot, we laugh a lot, and we forgive a lot.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
Love a lot,
laugh
laugh
a lot and forgive a lot. So
because
it's
there's
definitely-
gonna be offenses.
Oh,
There's gonna
yeah.
be times when you don't meet the other person's needs.
and there are going to be intense fellowships.
Uh-huh.
We don't have
Oh.
arguments.
Yeah,
we have intense
fellowships.
Intense fellowships,
Yeah.
my God. I was thinking about chicken. Y'all talking about conversation. Intense fellowships.
fellowships.
That's good.
And
Wow.
so in our intense fellowships, we both have agreed that nobody leaves the house. Like the house is big enough. We got more than one room in the house. So we may be in different rooms,
I
but
go
we're
turn
gonna be
TV on another room, just turn TV on or do what I'm gonna do.
but we're gonna stay in the same house
We're gonna
because
stay in
it's
the same house.
unfair to anybody else. Why do you say that, Dr. McCurry? Because when we have an intense fellowship, some people call them arguments, but when we have those, if one of us is upset or we're aggravated and we leave, we grab our keys and we're not in the right frame of mind to be in a vehicle. We get in the vehicle, and because our mind is preoccupied with what we left at home, and then we're putting somebody else in danger because we're not as attentive to the road
and everything
and
else.
in our surroundings because our mind is where we left it in that intense fellowship. So if we stay in the house,
Wow.
what we're doing is we're going to wait, we're going to calm down from the situation, and then we have an agreement to come back and talk about it.
Wow. Wow. Man, that's good. That's driving under the influence of anger, huh? That's
Uh-huh.
crazy.
Right.
That's good.
Right.
That's,
I like that.
that's driving under the influence, man. That's crazy.
And I want to go back to something my husband said a minute ago about conversation.
Uh,
So one of the things that my promise to him is was when he worked and was going to work every day, there was a period of time, like when he came from work, that there was no conversation. Like he got the first 15 minutes to just unwind from
Oh.
work,
okay.
go take a shower, whatever he wanted to do,
Okay.
15 to 30 minutes. And then when he came back, then the question was, how was your day? Because
Okay.
by then it gave him enough time to get his mind
Mhm.
clear from whatever he had dealt with so that he can hear me.
So he could be home.
And,
Yeah.
and what was great about that, she always did that from when we first got married, and we were both in the military. But she always did that because when the kids would grow up, she would always tell the girls, they'd be like, "Oh, Daddy's home." And she said, "Girls, give your daddy a few minutes." And so the girls, they'd be sitting there and they just,
Wait,
wait,
no,
Just
you
wait,
minutes?
just wait.
And then so they had pecking order. So they'd be like, okay, the oldest one, like, okay, I gotta talk to him first because I can talk better than all y'all. And so, she would let all the girls come and say what they had to say and do what they had to do and get their
Wow.
hugs. And then when they were done, she'd be like, okay, y'all go somewhere.
Wow.
And they would go to their rooms or go to the front or den or whatever it was, or go outside in the back and play. And then she would have my full attention. And that was her time then.
And I see in that child rearing technique right there you just mentioned, I like to talk about frames of reference
Mhm.
because what you came out of was a picture
Mhm.
and what he came out of was a picture
Mhm.
and you about to start painting something together.
Right.
Right.
And that makes a difference. But I saw in that, because we're gonna get to another need. Man, our time is going. We got to get to a couple more needs. But man, this discussion has been so rich. But what I saw in that was the benefit for their husbands
Yes.
Mhm.
that they gained from treating their father in such a way.
Mhm.
That was good.
They learned that men need a little time before you start. And as wives, we have to understand that what we cannot do is we can't come to him with all the complaints and all the issues when he walks through the door. So yeah, the sink may be plugged up and the bill collectors are calling, but you don't know when when he comes into the home, the home should be his safe haven. So you got to give him time
He's
to
retreating to
release
his home.
from
Mhm.
whatever he had out there to get into the house before you start telling him the issues of the house.
Wow. 'Cause I need peace in the palace.
I got to have some peace.
I got to have some peace.
And what helped us is with this, because she had reared our daughters, trained our daughters about this, I take the opportunity with their husbands and I mentor all of them. So I take moments where I'll take individually, I'll take them out and me and them hang out, but I always do it under projects. So I always get work out of them. So it's like, hey, can you come by the house for a few minutes? I need your help. Okay, what do you need? And they'll come over and we're going to tear down this whole back fence and put up a new fence. Oh, okay. So this turned to, they thought it was going to be like 20 minutes to a whole Saturday.
Yeah.
Or, I need this gutter put up or I need this done. But during that time, I'm talking to them.
Sure.
I'm sharing with them. I said, and they'll ask me questions. Well, Dad, and they'll be now they don't understand that they're talking about my daughters.
Yeah.
But I'm listening to them and I said, well, son, have you tried this? Have you
Mhm.
tried this? And maybe you ought to do this. I said,
Mhm.
this works with me and their mom. I said, try this. And understand, they're just like the woman I'm married to. So, so I've given them heads up
You
that,
blueprinting them.
yeah, I'm telling you,
blueprinting them.
they're just like her now. And so if you want the response that she gives to me, you're going to have to do the things that I do.
Yeah.
And so, and I watch them and they do it. And it's like,
And
wow.
it works.
And it works for them.
Wow. Come on. Let's hit one more need before we get out of here, man. It's 6:50. I'm gonna come.
Oh,
We can get one more out. Come
Okay,
on.
I think this is a good one.
Come on. give me
Okay.
one.
Which one you
I'm
want?
gonna do the third one.
Okay.
Okay, a man needs an attractive spouse.
Mm.
I didn't say a skinny spouse.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say a spouse with long hair.
Mm-hmm.
I said attractive. That means whatever it was you were doing when y'all met
Mm.
and he asked you to marry him, it should not go from your hair being done, your nails being done, and you dressing every day to a bonnet on your head and pajamas when you go to Walmart.
Mm.
It should not, because men are visual.
Yes.
And so I have made the mistake in the past, and I'll say, babe, do I look like I'm getting fat? I'm setting him up for failure. I'm setting him up for failure.
What kind of question is that?
He's
But we
not-
asked it.
Right.
We do.
We
I mean,
asked
yes.
it. And then when we get a truthful answer, then we're offended.
Mm-hmm.
So what I had to learn was, and so what I'll say to him sometimes, I was like, I gotta lose a little weight. And I did, because I needed to do that for me.
Yeah.
It wasn't something he asked, but I needed to know for
Mhm.
myself.
Mm-hmm.
There were some self-esteem things that were going on within me, some
Mhm.
physical things that I needed to do that for me. But what I appreciated about my husband was his answer has always been the same. You're always beautiful to me.
Wow.
That's what I needed to hear, even when I didn't feel like that.
Wow. Wow.
So, just remembering that it's so important for us to keep ourselves up. That's our real truth. Because oftentimes, we get married, we start having kids, and we just say, "That's that." Well, he knows.
Them
I
kids
know.
did
Yeah,
it to
the
me.
kids did it. But
I don't have enough time.
it may take, and that's the reason. It's like it's easier for me to put on some sweats and whatever, and run to the store, right?
Mhm.
It's easier, but it does take more time for me to comb my hair, put my makeup on, do
It
all
does.
of that. It does.
But it's an investment.
It's
though.
an investment, because again, there is the fact that a man is visual, and there's always going to be somebody out there that's going to attract his eye. That's the reality.
Yes,
That
that's
is
a
the
reality.
And so, while you're not doing it to make sure that, well, I shouldn't have to do that, I'm his wife, you should have to do it, because you did it before to become
because
his
you're
wife.
his wife. Yeah.
But you did it before to become his wife.
Mm-hmm.
So why would you not do it to remain his wife? Why would you not do it to give him
maintain
what,
that same level
what
of
he
attraction.
needs? Because
Yeah.
he needs to have that. He needs you to, to be pleasing to his eye. He needs that.
Yeah. Wow, that's good. I mean, and I'm gonna go scripture for a minute. If she's our glory,
Mhm.
Right.
you're our glory. We want you to look good.
That's right.
Come on, Mike.
All
Come
right.
on.
This is one I feel that is most important. That what she needs from us is honesty and openness.
Wow.
Now, when I say honesty and openness, that is about what's going on with us.
Mm.
So basically, a man should be able to tell her everything without
Mhm.
leaving anything out, whether it's something that's good or something that might be hurtful.
Mhm.
But it should be so it doesn't leave any impressions that it's going to be any surprise later on down the road.
Wow.
So this is the thing that I think not only that she needs, but she's owed. There are certain things that are hard situations. There are hard conversations. There are the most challenging things that we might have to share with our wives.
Mhm.
But if you can't share it with her, who
Wow.
can you share it with?
Wow.
If you can't be open and honest, a lot of things when we see marital issues is because there's not honesty.
Sure.
Somebody withheld some information.
Sure.
Somebody did something that they may have been ashamed of, or may or felt bad about.
Yeah.
But the only way for forgiveness, I guess the Bible says this: confess your faults one to another.
One to another. Mm-hmm.
And so that's what definitely she needs from you, is to be honest about things.
Yeah.
And I want to add this, because oftentimes, when we say open and honest, we automatically, our minds go to things like infidelity.
Uh-huh.
it could be something as simple as husbands try to protect wives, right? So you could be sick. You could have gone to the doctor and the doctor didn't give you a good report, but you will come home and say to your wife, everything was fine.
Oh, wow.
And so now that's an extra stressor you just put on yourself, but also you're not giving her an opportunity to know what to pray for you for.
Wow.
You're not giving her an opportunity to maybe change some things in your diet to help this situation. You're not giving her an opportunity to be there for you because you didn't tell her the truth. So while you thought you were protecting her, you actually were leaving her out.
You were deceiving her almost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's amazing. You know, as you were sharing that, I'm from a construction family, so sometimes I see things visually as you're talking, and as you were sharing that about being honest about all of it. My mind flipped to my Uncle Jack. He was my drunk uncle, but he was the best brick mason in the family. He could do it. And I would remember that sometimes the bricks would get chipped. They weren't whole bricks. They were chipped. They were broken. But somehow in that process of cementing that wall, those chipped bricks ended up getting used. And there were certain times where a chipped brick would fit right into a specific space to complete the wall. So sometimes I think, as you were saying, even if it's something that may not be the best thing, it can still be used for building.
Yes.
That's right.
If for nothing else, building trust, building communication, building honesty, because she knows he tells me everything.
He tells me everything.
He tells me everything. But if we take those chips and just sit them on the side somewhere, in a minute, watch this, somebody got to come clean that side up.
Yes.
And now you got a bunch of broken bricks laying around that's got to be cleaned up, and it makes the cleanup of the job so much harder.
And let me share this. Being open and honesty provides her with security because she can trust you at your word. When you're a man of your word, when she knows that you'll share the good and the bad, then when you say something, she can trust that. So then when somebody brings something else, hey, your husband did this. No, he would have told me.
He would have told me, I think it's so amazing, and I think that was just such a refreshing. That last little piece was so refreshing to me, because a lot of times when we think we're actually doing a good thing, we could be doing something that's actually hurting us. And so man, this is just so rich. I'm so thankful that you guys had time to be on with us again. We're here at Hearts and Heels. We want to thank Shay Robinson for allowing us this time to be on the show. And we've had the honor of sharing with our founders, the McCurrys, and just sharing this time. Just a final thought, very quickly.
Try your best to be a need meter.
That's right.
For your spouse. Try your best to be a need meter. For your spouse, for your children.
And find out what the need is. Don't meet the need based upon what you think it is. Ask them. Communicate.
Ask them what they need, and then become a solution to that problem.
Yes.
I think you said better. Meet the need. Don't call it a problem. It's always a problem that carries such a negative connotation. It's just a need. It's something we need to grow in, mature in, and help each other develop, man. Oh, wow. This has been such a rich time. Such a rich time. Again, we've been discussing his needs and her needs here on Hearts and Heels, here at the wonderful station of WVAS 90.7 on the campus of Alabama State University. And I want to say the Alabama State University. And I want to tell these guys, thank you, man. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to the staff. They've been great. Thank you for you guys for sharing with us and allowing us to be here. So we certainly do appreciate you in this time. And man, God bless you all.